Your fitness level is probably not the reason you feel tired in the pool. I know some of the most impressive athletes who can run and bike for miles but feel exhausted after just one lap in the pool. And I also know many out of shape people who get tired after climbing up the stairs but can swim for hours comfortably. Swimming technique has something to do with it, but there's something more fundamental that is going on. Here's the truth. You aren't tired because you're out of oxygen and you need more air. You might feel that small panic exactly because you're breathing too much. And today, I'm going to prove it to you with a simple experiment, then show you exactly how to fix it. First, let's destroy the biggest myth in swimming. Most people believe that burning sensation in your chest means you're running out of oxygen, so let's test that. This is a pulse oximeter. It measures my blood oxygen saturation in real time. Right now, I'm at this level of saturation. That's completely normal for a healthy person. Now watch what happens when I hold my breath underwater. 20 seconds in, and I'm still at this percentage. 40 seconds, I'm starting to feel that panic, that desperate urge to breathe, and still the oximeter looks like this. Did you see that? Even after a full minute, when I felt like I was dying, my oxygen levels barely moved. It went from this to this. That's basically nothing. To put things into perspective, medical professionals consider chronic oxygen levels below 89% to be hypoxemia, a serious concern. But during breath-holding exercises, healthy individuals can safely dip below 86% for a minute or two without any damage. As soon as you take that first breath, your levels return to normal within seconds. Brain damage generally requires much lower levels, often below 60 to 70% of prolonged periods, several minutes of deprivation. Elite freedivers regularly dip into 50 to 60% range during competitions. While 86% is low for hospital standards, it is a very mild dip in the world of apnea training. And we're not even training apnea, we're just training swimming. So that's easier. If oxygen is not the problem, then what is it? Why does it feel like you're suffocating when your blood is still loaded with oxygen? There are two things that can happen to you: hypercapnia or hypocapnia. Understanding hypercapnia. This happens when you hold your breath for too long. That burning, that panic, that desperate air hunger you feel, that's called hypercapnia. High CO2 levels, and it's an entirely different problem. Here's what actually happens inside your body. Step 1. Your cells are consistently burning energy. Every time they do, they produce CO2 as waste. Cells produce energy and CO2. Step 2. When you hold your breath while swimming, that CO2 has nowhere to go, and it reacts with water to form carbon acid. CO2 plus H2O equals H2CO3, carbonic acid. Step 3. This acid lowers your blood pH. Your blood literally becomes more acidic. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your brain has these incredible sensors called chemoreceptors, especially in your medulla oblongata and your carotid bodies in your neck. These receptors don't really care about the oxygen levels. What they're obsessed with is the moment when your blood becomes too acidic from CO2 buildup, they send an urgent breathe now signal to your diaphragm. That overwhelming urge to breathe, that's not your body begging for oxygen. It's your brain screaming, "Get this acid out of here." This is why when you hold your breath in the pool, you're actually trapping acid in your system. Your body is becoming more acidic. Your heart rate spikes. Your muscles fatigue. You feel completely out of shape, but you're not. You're just over-acidified. In this case, you just need to breathe more often. If right now you're breathing every 8 strokes, try 4 or 3. What happens if you feel out of breath and you're already breathing every 2 or 3 strokes? When carbon dioxide levels in the blood drop below the normal range, the condition is known as hypocapnia. While CO2 is often thought as just a waste product, it is actually a vital regulator of your blood's pH and how well your brain and muscles receive oxygen. When these levels drop, it triggers a cascade of physiological changes. Slightly low CO2, mild hypocapnia. This often occurs during mild stress, light overbreathing, sighing frequently, or high altitude exposure. This happens also when you're breathing too often or too much when you're swimming. Dizziness and lightheadedness. Because CO2 helps keep blood vessels open and a slight drop causes them to narrow, reducing blood flow to the brain. Pins and needles. You may feel a tingling sensation in your fingers, toes, or around your lips. Paradoxically, low CO2 levels can make you feel like you're not getting enough air, even though your oxygen levels are likely at 100%. Narrow blood vessels can lead to cold hands and feet. Low CO2 triggers the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, making you feel on edge or restless. High-level athletes, especially land athletes like runners or cyclists, have more mitochondria and more muscle mass. When they exert themselves, their muscles burn fuel at a much higher rate than an average person. The byproduct of that energy is CO2. Because they are engines with more horsepower, they produce exhaust much faster. In their land sports, they can dump CO2 instantly because they have a constant access to air. In the pool, they hit a wall because they can breathe whenever they want. Swimmers and freedivers develop CO2 tolerance. Their brain learns that slightly lower pH, more acidic, isn't a death sentence. They can stay calm while their CO2 rises, whereas the fitter land athletes panics because their brain isn't used to that acidic signal. The level of CO2 tolerance has been dropping in modern life in both elite athletes and normal people. But developing CO2 tolerance takes time, and I want to give you even more immediate and easier strategies for you to feel calm right now. The reason the unfit local swimmer can go for miles is that they found the perfect breathing amount and rhythm that keeps the CO2 levels within calm range. Alright, now for the practical part. These are the 3 exercises that will completely transform your swimming. I want you to focus on these for the next 2 weeks, and I'll promise you, you'll feel a different swimmer. Are you breathing too often or not enough? Maybe you have seen contradictory advice online. Maybe it is too confusing to understand what to do and why. Some people say to breathe every 3 strokes and exhale constantly underwater. We emphasize breathing every 2 strokes and holding the breath underwater until the last moment. What no one tells you, even us, is that the advice or the correct way to do things doesn't work for everyone. That is why we're going back to doing tests and teaching you how to autocorrect. Here's a test. Test A. When you swim and you end up agitated, do you feel lightheaded and dizzy? Do you feel pale or cold hands and feet? Do you feel air hunger? That feeling that you're not getting enough air? Paresthesia. Do you feel like tingling sensation in your fingers, toes, or around your lips? If you answer yes to most of these questions, you need more CO2. Easy fix. Hold your breath for longer, not letting the air out. If you breathe every 2 or 3, try breathing every 4 or 5, and pay attention to how that feels. Test B. When you swim and you end up agitated, do you feel a light or heavy headache? Do you feel like you need to breathe fast, exhaling more than you're inhaling? Does your heart beat a lot faster? Do you feel like your muscles are burning? If you answered yes to most of these questions, then you need to exhale more CO2 while you swim. An easy fix is to breathe more often, but faster breaths so you don't destroy your momentum. Or you can also try humming while swimming. This will make sure you exhale more air while not exhaling too much that it reduces buoyancy significantly. The more complicated fix is to become more water fit. Swimming more will make you more tolerant to CO2 levels, and B, become more efficient at using the energy and thus not produce as much CO2. Here's another test you can do right now with our old friend, the bowl of water. The same we used on this video series, Developing Swimming Skills at Home. Most swimmers obsess over the inhale. Did I get enough air? But that's the wrong focus. Look at our swimmers. It looks like sometimes they're not even breathing. Instead, focus on the exhale. First, try the humming technique and breathe to one side fast. Don't focus on the inhale. Just a small amount of air is enough. Now, try exhaling only when your head is turning like this. Now, use the one that felt more comfortable and count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and then breathe while you count and 1, and then continue with the and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Because we're not using our bodies and our muscles like when we're swimming, the CO2 production is much lower. So this method can help you get used to that slightly higher CO2 without other distractions and moving components. You can adjust the count to even 3 or even 10. On this series of videos, we learn through doing, not just watching videos. This is a higher level of learning. Our bodies learn through doing, our brains through understanding. Swimming is both, but it is more about doing than understanding. Proprioception is the main skill that can make you a smoother swimming. In the next video of this series, we will explore one of the most important health span skills that swimming develops naturally. If you want to see more videos like these, click on this playlist. See you there. Swim smooth.